Hello everyone and welcome back to World Builder. This episode we're going to be building a church for our desert city village thing. So, I think the main issue I had in deciding how I wanted to build this was its design. Because churches typically, have in the medieval style, they'd have like sloped roofs and all of that stuff, and or I could do a mosque, but the shape isn't right for a mosque, so there's a lot of issues I ran into with designing it. But in the end, I decided to do something that I like. It kind of works, and I think it's okay because it kind of works. To where I made like a little smaller section on top. You'll see it when it's finished. It's kind of hard to describe what I did. Uh, but yeah, that's why there's floating pillars there, because that'll be like a separate section to go on the top of the church. So, in terms of the building itself, the style is the same as some of the other buildings we've made, using the birch logs, or stripped birch bark for the corner pillars, and using various kinds of sandstone and sand to make the walls. But because it's a church, have to use stained glass, so I made a lot of large windows that I put stained glass in, because it's a church, and it can't be a church without stained glass, because, that's what all churches have. So, as we build up the walls, there's also these wood pillars going around the outside. These are the same style as the other buildings, but this one it's kind of different because of the way that I'm doing it. There's actually going to be 2 layers of wood pillars instead of just one, going around in certain areas. So it looks kind of interesting. Like it looks different. Like looking at this building from afar, you can tell that it's something different because of the way that it looks, which is kind of what I was going for, and I think I achieved that pretty well. So, I also made some other windows around using stairs to make like holes that aren't like 1-block holes. Well, they are 1-block holes, but they're not like on a block. So, I don't know, I like the way they look, because it's not just the same like standard windows, but it's not just boring either. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. You see here, this first layer has a roof on it, but then it also has this little thing on the top of it also that connects in with the bigger thing in the main room. And I like the way that it looks. Like, I think it looks really good, which is why I did it. Because if I didn't think it would look good, I wouldn't have done it. But I like the way it looks, and I kept it that way so that I could continue doing stuff with it. So the roof on that particular section looks the same as every other section, but it merges in with the other like top part of the bigger building to make a different effect there also. So in total, if you were to count it, there'd be 3 layers. One from the front, and then the thing above the front, and then this thing that I'm building now above the main room. So, the walls here are the same too, but I also added in some pillars to reflect the place of the strip birch below it, just so it had some continuity, and it breaks up the wall a bit to make it not look as uniform. I also added in windows up here, but not any big, large stained glass windows. And I think that's like mainly because the stained glass doesn't really work up here, because this is an area of the church that isn't really viewed by many people, at least from the inside, or outside really. But it does have windows just to make it look not as boring. So there are the strip birch pillars going in, and the roof on this is the same for all the others. Now, walls are done, we have to go around and add details to it. As you can see here, I'm going to add in some details in the same style that we do with every other house. Buttons on the pillars, signs, fence gates, slabs, various things, and windows. Of course. Can't not have windows. I do eventually change and replace, and I do change the open windows to be stained glass windows, because I think it looks better that way. But yeah, detailing wise, everything else is the same. The buttons all around, the signs, the slabs, all that stuff is the same. So as we move around here, you can see that again, just on different angles, where the windows still aren't filled in, but you can see how the fence gates and trapdoors and stuff can be used on these windows. And for that little top part, I do the same detailing pattern and window parts on the little top segment for both of the sides, just to keep it a bit more uniform. Okay, so now that we have these couple walls detailed, we can shift over here to get a nice view of both of these stained glass windows. I wanted to use some colors that were all vaguely similar, so I used like red, blue, purple, cyan, and light blue. And I think those work well together to create a nice stained glass pattern. It's kind of hard to see in the night, but in the daytime it's a lot more visible, and it looks a lot better. So I also replaced these couple of windows with stained glass, instead of just being an open window, because I think it looks better in the end. Okay. You can get a nice little view there. Now on the roof, I had done this for a couple of the other buildings, but I added leaves on it. And now that I'm looking back at this, I feel like I probably added too many, and I should take some of them off. But yeah, I like the way that it looks. It makes the building look really old and run down and like out of use. Even though I don't really want it to be like that, I just want it to have leaves on there, like, just to make it look a bit better. But yeah, I think I went a bit overboard. It just looks really old. Which is okay, but, you know, I have to change it at some point, I suppose. Yeah, you can see now, especially in the day, how it makes it look. And the stained glass looks a lot more pretty in the day as well. So, this is one of the few buildings I'll be doing interior for, using the same palette as with the tavern and the inn. Using spruce planks for the floor as with the roof, and using stone slabs for the main stage area. I don't know really what to call it. I don't know if there's like a name for it in church or whatever, but I just called it a stage. So I decided here to make the chairs like that, just to create a bit of difference between them, so that it's not just like common rows of chairs. And the carpet there is the same carpet style as the flags on top of the keep have. And I really like the way that that looks, so I decided to keep it. I also experimented with adding in some lights through the ceiling in the form of chandeliers, and I didn't end up using any of them at all, mainly because there is something that I ended up putting in the ceiling. So I used those enchanting tables as like an altar sort of thing, and that one block of wood is supposed to represent like a podium of some kind. Once the lectern gets added, I'll probably put in a lectern, and once the lanterns are added, they're going all over the village. So, this angle is kind of confusing to see what exactly is going on. But I was thinking about it, and I wanted to do a religion for the people of the world that we're building here, like a common religion. So that I could put something in the churches that wasn't directly related to any real world religion. Because, you know, I just didn't want to do that. So even though I'm calling this a church, I should really just call it like a religious building. Ambiguous religious building. That's what this is. So, the thing I made in there is kind of like a statue of like a cat of some kind. Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't really give a good view of it, but it's okay, because I'm going to leave this here. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Comment with any feedback you have for me, and I will see all of you later. Bye.